Hey, fellow humans, welcome to Unraveling the Shoulds. You know all of those stories in our minds that are built upon who we thought we should be? Well, we're going to unravel those. We're going to journey into the quiet magic of everyday life. Those moments where each small thought holds a thread that can unravel the story of who we thought we were. As those threads fall away, what emerges is our mountaintop self. The true soul of us that is vast and free and whole. Through myth, philosophy, and lived experience, we'll discuss and walk this path together, unraveling into the truth, remembering who we've always been. How about we finally stop shoulding all over ourselves? Hey, everyone.
Hi, Christine.
No, everyone. I've got like a whole slew of people. You can't see them. But they're very excited. And they all have their vomit bags.
Welcome. It's actually a live audience today. Oh, that could be a fun future development.
Yes, yeah, definitely could. That would be very hard for me. I'm trying to entertain way too many people.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just going for the laughs at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my, here we are, second week of November. How are you?
Second week of November. I am great. I feel good. I feel these talks have definitely helped me to open up my own window and light on my own shoulds, especially around the end of the year and so much happening. And there's so much happening, obviously, with me personally that, these conversations have really helped me to shine a light. And I say this often, and I think one of the wisest things that Carl Jung ever said is that which we do not bring light to, hence the shadow. If we don't bring light to the shadow will become our fate. And
ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth?
Someone told me that they're taking like a public speaking course. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was very endearing. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. What led you to pursue that? And they said, I just want to be able to express my ideas more clearly and more creatively and more thoughtfully and with like greater clarity. And I also, as you know, like in a public speaking setting, I think it just kind of puts a spotlight on the communication style that we have. And definitely makes you notice like the coherence of your ideas and the tone and the cadence and like the rhythm of how we communicate. And yeah, so that's like one little thing that I thought of. And the other thing I thought of was, besides the birds in the background that are like just going crazy in your backyard, I can hear them. They're so cute.
Oh my gosh, there's tons.
I ran into a friend on the street the other day and I had my AirPods in and she was like, hey, what are you listening to? And I was like, oh, so embarrassing. I'm listening to my own voice memo to my sister because I was sharing something about a recent event in my life. And I was like, I wonder how that came across. And then, I was caught red-handed and I couldn't lie. I couldn't be like, it's just a great song. No, like just me, just my own episode. Yeah. So I guess just in step with like these podcasts and that kind of unfolding of like, how am I presenting myself in a public space? And are my words being received in the way that I want them to be received and all of that?
Yeah, I think these conversations, as they're meant to, what I say, have legs, meaning once the light starts to become illuminated, we start to understand that most of the times we're shining a light externally and we're just looking at the outside world. And most of the inner work is spent
dealing with how the outside world is affecting us. Now, these conversations and what I invite, flip that script to say, now I'm actually most illuminating what's happening on the inside. What I just heard you say was, I'm more aware of how am I communicating. When I heard about somebody else stepping into a public speaking class, I went, how does that feel? How do I communicate? Am I an honest communicator? Many people be like, yeah, I'm honest. And then we jump into the second situation where we go, okay, I'm caught red-handed in a place that goes like, oh, I'm just listening to a song, versus saying, no, actually, I'm listening to the sound of my own voice because I was talking and leaving a voice note to somebody and I ended thinking maybe it was a little aggressive. So I was actually listening to that over again. If it's like, do I say all of that? And so it's communication. It's how we relate. And ultimately, we are taking that light from looking at the world in reflection to how that's affecting us. And then we're saying, what if I brought most of that light internally and thought, how am I? It's like, how am I affecting the world? How is what's happening on the inside creating the outside, rather than how is the outside making me feel this way? That is exactly the turn where all of those shoulds come in. Because there's two ways we look at a should, right? What should I do to affect my outside environment so I feel safe, unjudged, accepted, loved? The list goes on and on. Versus what should I, or what can I be doing from the inside to just like authenticate my highest frequency, so that is what's matched in my outside environment, regardless of how the outside world, of which I can't control, is reacting to that. Yeah. And once we take that lens from here to here, perception of reality will begin to shift. Other aware, you're making me feel. Self-aware, my feelings project and create my reality. Whoa. And a should is exactly the portal that can get us to understand. It's not like one is better, because better and worse, it's a total shift in perception. And I like to think and believe that the next jump in human evolution is not a technological advancement, but a shift in the way that we perceive reality. So if you're going like, how do I even start changing my perception of how I see reality? Stop looking out here. Start looking in here. So we can take those two examples of communication and relating to other people as literally encompassing all of your shadows from when you were in the living room with your parents, all of your shoulds, and then we start to dismantle those or integrate them so that we can be more of an active participator in our own authenticity.
There's sometimes seems like there's a discrepancy between like, I feel very ugly today, but then I have like 3 people on the outside come up to me and say, wow, you look amazing today. Sometimes it can be like, okay, well then why is my feeling or my perception feeling so different than the current than like what's being reflected back at me? And sometimes that can be the opposite, where you're feeling amazing and the feedback that you're getting is like a bit negative or neutral. And so I think sometimes we spend time trying to align those two things of like, the way that I feel should be the way that other people are perceiving me. I guess, yeah, like how would you begin to try and align those two realities of like your perception and the feedback that you're getting on the outside? Because if they are always going to be different, how can you like have that clarity of, okay, regardless of how I'm feeling, if I feel amazing and the feedback that I'm getting is not great, then I'm going to go ahead and hold my strength. Or Is it like I should be receiving the feedback from the outside to tell me something about myself? I guess it's in so many words, I'm talking about internal versus external validation.
Mm-hmm. So the word validation, it entails transactional. I'm going to do this so that I get this. They're going to do this so that I feel this. And that's very disorienting to the spirit, because the spirit's not transactional. It's of art. It's of authenticity. And so the brain, based on the patterning, based on wanting to receive love and feel safe and be wanted and accepted, it's used to this autopilot of transaction. I feel this, so there's the payment. The world's acting like this, so there's the transaction. Does that make sense? So whenever they're again, like in yoga, we talk about attachment and aversion, right? I do want, I don't want. So as soon as you say, I do want, I'm attracted, there's an attachment there. I don't want, I move away because there's an attachment there. I feel really great about myself, and so the world should show up to mirror that. All of these things need to be controlled. That's where the transaction comes in. And so it's nuanced and seemingly difficult because it's all over everything, because the ego then jumps and goes, oh, so I'm just not supposed to care what anybody thinks anymore? Or I'm just supposed to like yell in the phone and just throw it out there. And if she, it's not as curt or as I don't care as that. It encourages or invites you to anchor the qualities of your own authenticity within you, instead of asking for the outside world to show up to mirror that you were right on. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically saying trust, full and complete trust, versus I'll trust once I've earned it through the mirror that, like, I'll trust that I look good once I go out and the world confirms I look good, versus anchoring that within you as something that is a trust within yourself that vibrates from the frequency of authenticity, rather than an external thing that needs to be mirrored through praise or recognition. That's like a transaction.
Yeah, I can see that. So that makes me think of, on Tuesday we were talking about Santosha, and you just brought it up again, of this aversion versus wanting something. And I came across a video that I thought kind of depicted that dilemma really well. And something that you and I talked about as well, of like, okay, as soon as I finally went into that quiet place within myself, I let go of the expectation and released the desire for the thing. And then as soon as I came out of that place, I received the thing that I wanted, and I was like, what am I supposed to do with that information? That is so counter helpful to me, because I just like spend all of this time filling up my own cup so that I don't need those things. So the video that I'm referring to was like a little skit, and it was someone talking about like, okay, so I really want this thing. Okay, it's like a conversation between two people. And the other person's like, okay, well, in order to receive that thing, you would just have to let it go, and then that will allow it to come to you. And they were like, but doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose if I'm letting it go only in some kind of roundabout way, knowing that I'm going to end up drawing it back to myself anyway? What's the purpose of letting it go if I know that it's going to come back to me? And it's like, well, you don't know that it's going to come back to you because it might not. So if it does, then you can confirm that it's the thing that you really wanted and that it's the good thing that is coming back to you because you want it and because you should have the things that you want, even though we have to be detached from the things that we want in order to receive them. And it like was such a mind fuck, pardon me, and such a mind tornado, I mean. And obviously that's a very like yogic idea of releasing the desire and then trusting that all of the needs will be met, or that the desires will return back to you in the proper moment or something. So maybe we can unpack that idea a little bit.
Yes. So these are very common loops that we can get stuck in, because as clear as this sounds, it is just as disorienting. There is no try, there is only do. Okay. In the wise words of Yoda, right? Desire most often is rooted in something you're longing for outside of yourself. Okay. That's the core, is that desire is a reaching for something outside of yourself. We're going to back up and define santosha. Santosha is a word that means contentment. It's the space between wanting and aversion. Okay, so it's kind of beyond desire, and it's defined as the isness and the acceptance that we have with the isness of the way things are. So it doesn't suggest that you don't want anything. It asks you to define what you're actually looking for with the thing that you want. If it's a physical manifestation, we'll say a new car. What are the qualities you have driving the convertible? And be honest, that's the car is out here. The quality is in here. And so when you look at what is it that I am longing for in the car, with the top down, driving down the street, and you're the only one who can be fully and completely honest with what it is that you're looking for. And if you're gaslighting yourself and not being honest about what you're really looking for, you're going to keep grasping. You can have anything you want. It's not about not wanting the car because you should just be happy with a bike. It's about understanding what is the quality, and that says everything about your entire life, your upbringing, your parental guidance, the jobs you've had, the preferences you have. And when you look at that, what is it that I am longing for that I think is going to be made manifest in this convertible? And then you increase all of those qualities from inside the house, you have the car. It's not letting go of the car. You can have the car. That's where people are like, so I shouldn't have the car. So I shouldn't want those things anymore. It's like, no. Just if you feel as if you are more valuable, loved, or worthy with the car, that's likely pushing it away, or you're going to get it and that won't be satiated. Mm-hmm. So you'll then want the plane, the boat. You can have the plane and the boat. But does that make sense? It goes back to the transaction part of it. That the light within you is asking for something to be manifested in something physical like a car. It could be a husband, a wife, a relationship, but there's something that you're grasping out here, that you're filling in here that is already there. Mm-hmm. There is a home within you that is already whole and complete that you forgot, and you may think it's in the car. You can have the car. That's what we mean by let go of the car. It's just come home to reinforce what it is you're actually looking for, and then you open the door and the car's there.
Now, I do think that one, all of that makes a lot of sense and totally tracking. I think on the relationship topic, that is a whole other dimension that I think we should go down that rabbit hole
Well, that's
like,
where it's all going
in
to
and
land.
of itself.
Yeah. I call it the funnel effect. You've heard me say that many times, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, we start up here with self-awareness, which kind of goes, oh, I became more self-aware at work and it started to change some things. And then you're like, oh, husband, kids, mom, and dad. That becomes a lot harder because we're talking about relationships, and relationships mirror your deepest wounds, as they're supposed to, because the shadow is the way to the gift. Mm-hmm. And the shadow is no more illuminated than in relationships, love relationships, our longing for partnership. All of those is where the real meat of our shadow, our shoulds, and our gift is.
Yeah.
So can you give me an example of a relationship want or a relationship desire?
Yeah. I mean, even just I was contemplating, like, yes, the deep relationships in our lives, like deep friendships, deep bonds with our parents and siblings and romantic partnerships. But I was also contemplating that what you said about our relationships reflecting our wounds back to us. And even in any type of human interaction, I find that that mirroring effect always is sort of taking place if I'm willing to look. And I'm not always willing to look. Sometimes I'm like, oh, whatever, that loser over there is just being a loser. Or like, let me think of an example. Like, if I see someone like walking down the street on their phone and they're like totally locked in and they almost run into me or something, and I think, what an unself-aware person. If you can't be on your phone and walk at the same time, don't be an idiot and don't do it. If you cannot be out in public and walk appropriately and be aware of your surroundings, you don't deserve to be on your phone. And
thank you for that window.
You're welcome. Yeah. I have many shadows. And I'm not afraid to admit them, because I'm also just like, I think that if anyone was being honest, I imagine that there would be many little shadows that would come up. So I'm just like, whatever.
Well,
Shadow
that's why.
things.
Yeah, that's the whole point of our conversation. Seemingly insignificant, like a quick flash judgment that's very easy to make. Okay, that's a perfect example, because it says everybody, okay, most people walking down a street that aren't in a cave meditating currently, we make these very quick shoulds. You should be able to walk with your phone, or you don't get your phone. And we do these little things, and we're not going to, we're not going to go up to that person, but they are playing out in our own minds, right?
I do imagine myself walking by, and I have a vision every time. Again, I'll let you in. I snap my fingers under the phone, and I'm like, hey, pay attention. And that's how I imagine that playing out. And they go, oh my gosh, you're so right. Thank you. And they're so grateful.
Wonderful. So what does that show about how you speak to Madison?
Oh, that I can be so shooting all over myself.
Exactly. So when we take that example in-house, and we know that everything on the inside is projecting itself to show up as our physical reality. I mean, just get your head around that piece for a second. The entire universe is actually happening inside. And then we have a thought of preference, and it comes out instantaneously as somebody distracted, not present, self-absorbed, and disinterested in the world around them. And you go, have I ever felt that about me?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, is that there's like all of the judgments that I've ever made. Once I realize that the judgment is there, I'm like, we are the same person.
So it's
I'm
less
so
about
sorry.
like white knuckling acceptance. Because what we do is we end up going, they're the problem, I'm the problem. They're the problem, I'm the problem. They're the problem, I'm the problem. And it's just that ping pong game back and forth, right? The witness, the observation is, oh my gosh, I mean, you can't even, but you're watching it. You feel that judgment, you feel that arise in your nervous system. And this is a different conversation about somatics and how when you're very connected to your own proprioception or your awareness of your body in space, you can start to like have this superpower that says, I feel judgment in my body before it even hits my brain. If you're disassociated or you're just going through life without a practice or a sadhana that helps you to anchor into the body, it just always feels like they're making you feel irritated. Versus going, ooh, irritation is coming from the inside and I'm projecting it onto the guy on the phone because it's just making it easy. It's just making it really easy to get all of those qualities I just said that live inside of me, which I don't really love. They create pockets of psychic debris or pockets of like shadow inside of me that says, do I inner bully myself when I feel a little bit distracted or self-absorbed? Or do I use that as a moment to go, everything is as it is in this present moment, and I can recalibrate my nervous system back into love and interconnectedness. And then I go out in the street and I don't see anyone that day on their phone, distracted. Ooh, am I creating my reality? That's when it starts to get very cool.
Ooh,
When
yeah.
self-awareness really kind of goes like, I am in a whole new love affair with life. Like I am in a whole new relationship. Oh my gosh. I was just like bringing my shadow out with me and just going like, you know what? I guarantee you there's going to be so many people that are going to piss me off today. There they are. Boom, 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 boom.
Bing
The
bong
world will
bing.
show up in spades to mirror what you're dishing out.
Yes.
And you're not doing anything wrong. You're just following a programming of separation. We live in a story, a literal story that we are not the same. When we start to recognize our sameness, it's not about bullying yourself. Like, you know what, Madison, he's just doing his best and he's on his phone and you do it too. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that,
Yeah,
it says
totally.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the kind of the key component is like once you recognize that kind of unveiling of like, oh, I am doing that right now. I am having those thoughts about that person. Okay, but why? Where does that come from? What does that do for me? What do I do in these moments? Like, it just kind of starts to percolate a whole new stream of thought that then gives you now options of how to respond instead of just being like, wow, fuck that guy. It becomes now, I've now said that twice in this call. Sorry. Sorry,
We're raw
listeners.
here. We don't care.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so instead of saying, like, okay, I hate that guy, now it becomes, how do I want to respond? And what am I going to do with this information? And what other realities exist beyond this one judgment that I'm having? And that's very empowering.
Very. Hugely empowering. One of the most empowering words that I have and use with myself is grace. Because you can determine that guy's an asshole and just be done with it. And then you have to prove to yourself that you don't do that. So you've got a white knuckle, like presence. Like, I will not be on my phone now because I called that. I mean, I'm certainly not him. You know what I mean? It's just like, now you've got to have this like literal, every time you judge and then you judge yourself for judging, now you just have to become more and more perfect. More and more, it's just like, okay, well, we don't want to white knuckle that. So grace goes, I fully and completely understand that my judgment is a reflection of my own internal compass of a shadow that I'm looking to project onto the world, which is making it easy. We just start there. Then when you notice the feeling of judgment, you don't then judge it. You just observe it. Ooh, there it is. Then that's what we call integration. If all you did was remember that one interaction of walking down the street and judging somebody else for being distracted and in their own little world, you saw the judgment, you gave the moment as much grace as you could, and then you plan to integrate the moment later. You come home and you do the work. Otherwise, you're just looking for the screaming child that's irritating you the next time, or the guy that's bossing the lady at Subway around, or you're just going to look for it somewhere else if you don't integrate it. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go like, oh, well, I just don't care and he's doing his best and I'm doing my best. And then we let it go. There's that whole thing again. We go, no, there was a moment of judgment that stood out to me today. And rather than just placing it on him and confirming he's an asshole, turning it back on myself, and now I'm the asshole because I was judging aversion, right? How can I work with that energy? How can I come home and go, where did that come from? Because I know that there's judgment still inside of me because I projected it out today. So if there's judgment inside of me and I'm just a little girl, what might she need to be reminded of right now? That's doing the work. And it might feel like, oh my gosh, you got to do all of that. And I often relate it to parenting. If, say you're at a restaurant and your child starts to melt down and you distract them at the restaurant because leaving the anniversary dinner isn't really something that we want to do as a family right now, right? We really want to stay at dinner, but we also want to make sure that we address this tantrum. So maybe we distract the child, right? And we're like, oh, here's a phone, here's a toy, here's something. If we don't go home and integrate what happened with that child, the shadow just keeps playing a part. And we're just white knuckling dinner and hoping, well, when they get older, it won't be so bad. Does that make sense? Versus taking the child home and going, wow, so we were able to get through dinner, but what happened, sweetheart? Where did you feel that in your body? Why were you getting disrupted? What were you feeling? Was it too loud? Was it da-da-da? Did you need more attention? All of those things are helping a child to understand rather than just going like, oh my God, they're a mess and thank God we got through it and let's just plan for the next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Same thing.
Which maybe the child doesn't, and like, I don't know much about parenting young children, but I do have a lot of nephews, and maybe they don't even know the language on how to describe their experience yet, but even just like, I think acknowledging what previously happened does in some ways like give the child that gateway for understanding and starts to lay the path down. So it's like, okay, well, we're not going to get there today, but here's a brick that we're going to add to the path. And in 5 years, when you're 8, now you have a little more language because we've asked you like, okay, what was happening in that moment? Then it's like, okay, well, now I can sort of piece together that, yeah, I just was like having a hard moment and I'm sorry. Or I was feeling, lonely and that's why I was acting out or something. And then it just starts to, normalize, integrate, let the waves come and go. And you can just have that openness of conversation with the child.
Yep.
So that you can have that, exactly. So that you can have that with your own inner self. And maybe when you first begin speaking with yourself, you're like, I don't know. And you just like have these big tears or big feelings or big something. And then you begin to, lay the bricks down and get there eventually.
Well, that's what self-regulation is. And that brings us, what I was saying before about even the ability to bring the lens within the house means that you've got to be inside the house, or it's going to feel very disorienting when, this whole call, this whole session, this whole podcast would feel very disorienting because it's like, wait, it's like it's not even landing. I don't get it. Mm-hmm. Once you're inside the body, and that's what we're doing with kids, is we're getting them inside the body. We're speaking to them about emotions, all of them, even at 3 years old, whether they can articulate what that is or not. That visual of those setting those bricks, right? That's a foundation. That's a root chakra foundation of trust that says we will always integrate and understand what's going on inside of you. That just creates a lot of trust. And it creates a lot of trust within you. If you're going throughout your day and something occurs and you just try to breathe and let it go, or you just bully yourself into having a wrong thought about somebody, you're either blaming it on them and just closing the door and saying they're a jerk, or you're like, gosh, I'm so judgmental and I really shouldn't do that. Neither one of those things is going to help you to integrate the real true reason why you're projecting judgment out. Where am I judging myself? Do I compare myself? Do I look at Instagram and think that's what I should be doing and lower my frequency by a comparison? These are things that are very common that a lot of us do. Have I bought into the menopause is terrible? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We've been told for a very long time that this time of our lives is going to suck. And so if I've bought into that, and then I have fear around all of the new vibrations going on in my body, I just want to recognize that and bring it in-house. Otherwise, that's pharmaceuticals, everyone. Otherwise, we're just looking, again, out here for something that we're going to bring inside the house that's going to somehow help. And I'm not saying that sometimes a Band-Aid's not necessary. Sometimes a Band-Aid is necessary, but you can't keep a Band-Aid on a wound forever. It will continue to fester and it will never heal. Put the Band-Aid on and you got to take it off and then begin the healing from the inside. Mm-hmm. It seems on these, sometimes when I'm talking about it, like, yeah, no big deal.
And just heal all your wounds.
Yeah. When you get into it, reparenting, I'm not asking you to reparent yourself by thinking about how you were parented. That's a disaster. I'm asking you to reparent yourself in a way that remembers what you needed. You didn't get it, created the shadow, so that now you can heal it and alchemize into the light. That's why we chose broken parents. Or maybe I don't like the word broken. That seems a little accusatory.
Yeah.
Unaware.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing
why we chose parents.
Wrong. Yeah, why we chose parents. We live in a dimension of parents, right?
Even if you have like amazing parents, you're going to go through it.
Of course.
That's why we chose parents.
Yeah, because the sins of the father are here to be perpetuated or healed, and your own free will is the compass for that perpetuation or that healing. So if we're looking for a tool to open into self-awareness, and I think I may have said this before, but if you write down maybe 2 familiar, consistent qualities in your life, familiar and consistent, that are there, but you'd like for them to not be there. Comparison, judgment, self-criticism, anything that's familiar and consistent. And if you're listening, you know what a couple of yours are. Writing those down and then just saying, I'm ready to recognize anything in the outside world that is triggering these feelings, or any thoughts, memories, or sensations inside of my own mind that are causing these feelings to be present. And when they are, instead of looking out here to confirm what made me feel that way, I'm going to hold on to the feeling as something that's occurring from inside of me. And I'm not even asking you to do anything, but notice it's there and consider it's coming from inside the house. And you'll notice how quick we are to go, no, this wasn't inside. That guy's an asshole. And then just watch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why journaling is so healing, because it's your account of your take. And if you just wrote 16 journal entries about how it's the outside world, you'll catch on. You're like, oh, wow, I'm really convinced it's not me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great too. That's a way. That's a free will choice to say, I actually believe the outside world is causing all of my turmoil. I'm not saying that's wrong.
16,
I'm saying it's very common.
16 journals or 16 voice notes and then listening back.
Yes. You are who you've always been looking for. And I mean what I'm about to say with the most love and respect. You are your biggest problem, and you are your only solution.
You too, Christine, all right?
Oh, yes, 100%. 1,000.
No, I'm just kidding.
And I was saying that
I
to
know
the listener.
Oh, totally. Well, I am also listening. Oh, I think that's a nice wrap-up moment.
Yeah, super great. Yeah. I love that we have such a sense of trust. Having an ally is really, really, really helpful in self-awareness. I believe my best of friends provide a sense of accountability. And they're not just commiserating, and they're not just satiating my ego. They're asking questions and creating a safe space. And that's why our conversations, I feel, ripple so authentically and naturally, because there's a sense of trust there. Yeah. So if you have friendship and you're like, I'm pretty sure this person's trying to hurt me.
Oy, no.
Well, that's where defensiveness comes from. When you're defensive or you're angry, it comes from a subconscious belief that whoever you're defensive with is like deliberately trying to hurt you, which I'm not saying they're not. I'm just saying if they are, yikes, you might want to revisit that. And if they're not, then you revisit the side of you. Yeah. It's all coming from inside the house, folks.
I know. Come join our friend circle. Well, Christine, thank you for all of your words of wisdom.
Likewise. It's like you're my mirror.
One man staring back at me.
That's a great tool. Listen to that song and sing it to yourself.
All right, I'm going to go do that right now.
Do it. I love you.
I love you, Christine.
Thank you so much for joining us in the initial conversations that became the foundation for unraveling the shoulds. We invite you to continue this journey along with us each week as we dive deeper into our truest selves.